We are again, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. So proud to be with you today. Today we're going to open our Bibles to the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1. And we're going to take a look at in the beginning where God created the heaven and the earth. And the Bible said that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now the earth was wrapped up in waters, and it was one great flood had come over this crust of an earth, and God had prepared it that way. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Now there was darkness on the earth, and when the light came on, just like switching the light switch on, when the light came on, the darkness fled away. And it has to flee away. What is a good example to do is take a candle, put it in a shoebox lit, and in that shoebox there'll be no shadow, because that light will light all the way around in there. And there's no shadow in God. And when God made that light, the particular light he's talking about upon the earth, then was light before the sun and the moon now. It was the light of God himself shining upon this earth. And the evening and the morning were the first day. The evening and the morning were the first day. Now let's note something. You and I call the morning and the evening the first a day. God called the evening and the morning a day. Just turned around backwards from what we do. Well, what we do is what the devil brought on, and he brought the opposite. And everything the devil has done from day one, when God created the heaven and the earth, the devil has tried to make everything opposite. The devil talks about the Big Bang. The devil talks about all these theories about how this happened and that happened. We just read how it happened. God created it. And then God said in verse 6, "And he said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Well, let's see what a firmament is. Verse 7, "And God made a firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament," and what is that word right there? He called the firmament, after the waters were under the waters and it did appear, he called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. Note these times now that God says the evening and the morning were the second days. God went from evening to morning. Okay, verse 9. Verse 8, now 9, excuse me. "And God said, let the water under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so." Whatever God said was going to be so, and it was so. Whenever God said something, it was so, and that was it. It was so. And so he said, "And let it be gathered." In verse 10, he called the dry land earth, and he gathered together of the waters, called he seas, and God saw it was good. Now God made the dry land, the earth, and he made the seas. And I can just picture him squeezing this little ball of earth and that water flowing into where his fingerprints went. And he made it there. Verse 11, "And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. Now, what did he say? They'll bring forth seed, and each seed after its kind, and the fruit-bearing tree after its kind, the seed after its kind. Now, God clarified some things here for you and I, that everything was going to be after its kind. And verse 12 said, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was after itself, after his kind. And God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. So we see the evening and the morning again here were the third day. Now at this point, God had made the seas. He had reached down onto this earth. He had divided the water that was on this earth. He stuck his hands in there and he left some water down here, and he put a canopy of water over the earth. Now, if you please, if you'll listen to Brother Peter, I'm going to tell you, get you a good study Bible and study it. For 1,600 years, there was no rain. When Noah built the ark, there had not been any rain, and you can read the scripture. It said, for it had not rained yet upon the earth. It had not rained since God took this inhabited earth in that period of time and used it. Whether he had used it ever before, who knows? And whether he's ever going to use it again until the lake of fire, after he throws it in the lake of fire, I suspect he's not going to use it again. But we don't know how many times he's used it, and it's not an arguing point. It's just a point that is a fact, that he may have used it several times, he may not have. Who knows? But we're not going to argue about that. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Now in verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. God made a covenant with the sun, with the moon, with the stars. He put them in the sky. He made the light, and he made them to be. He made, in verse 16, it said God made two great lights, the one to rule the day, and the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Now God made these lights to light this earth. You say, but Brother Peter, God said he already had light on this earth. He did. He himself was the light until he made these two big lights. And once he made these two big lights, when he steps out of the way, the two big lights, the sun will take over and the moon will take over at night. And then the stars give the ability for animals to see, nocturnal animals to see at night. Also for man to be able to find his way and locate after dark by the stars. Now when God set the stars, when he set the sun, when he set the moon, he made a covenant with them to stay in the place they were, do what they were supposed to do, and except for one man altering the situation one time, nothing has ever changed. When a prophet of God had the sun stand still for a day, and God altered that day, and that one day was the only time things were changed. And so we see that God set everything in motion, and he set it in motion, and he said it was good. And that's what God was headed for, that which was good, and that's what he wanted to do right there. Now we see a couple more things here, but while we got a minute. And then God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. Now God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. That is in the top of the heaven. He set the sun and the moon and the stars up there. And then